We are continuing to explore our two Americas for you tonight, the America you know and the one you may not know.
And tonight's story is shedding light on a growing challenge for our oldest neighbors. Colorado is seen as a top place to retire, but with tough economic times, many are still working through retirement to make ends meet.
Pass. Oh, this is becoming a game of pass.
This is considered a slow day at the Fountain Valley Senior Center.
There's got to be an 8 in there somewhere.
It's got to be.
Look at that.
But slow in retirement
Pass. Jiminy Christmas.
certainly doesn't mean boring.
Still looking for an 8.
Good morning.
For Nick Massimino, coming here is something he looks forward to every time.
Well, most people wish they could retire.
He and his wife saved going into retirement, and he says they're in a good place.
When I moved here more than 50 years ago in Colorado, life was pretty good.
But he knows others that are working through a time in their life that's supposed to slow down.
But not anymore. You have to have another job to live in Colorado. I'm sorry to say that, but unfortunately that's not only here, but other states as well.
I retired successfully in the year 2006.
It's the case for Kurt Elliott, who stepped back into the workforce 7 months ago.
I think what we found is we missed the opportunity to keep working. We were worried about not having enough money for $5 a gallon gas, and so going back to work was a very easy decision.
He works here at the Pikes Peak Workforce Center, tapping back into his experience working with career programs as a teacher. He initially was hired part-time, and a couple of months ago got promoted to a full-time position.
Oh my gosh, we were so pleased and happy. It wasn't just because it was a few more hours and a few more dollars. It was trust and faith given back to me. And that'll build you. That'll make you feel like you're okay.
Can I have your zip code, please?
Yvonne Garcia is a resource officer with the Senior Resource Development Agency in Pueblo.
When COVID first hit, we had an increase of clients who were calling us saying, I'm not quite at retirement age according to Social Security, but I need to leave the workforce. I don't feel safe. I don't want to get COVID.
Garcia says a little more than 2 years later, now there's a different type of call she's getting.
We're seeing some of those same folks who call us through our 201 information referral line saying, I just can't afford rent. I can't afford utilities. Is there anywhere that I can get help?
It's the case for millions of Americans over age 65. Retirement is changing for many to include some sort of work. The reality is the workforce is getting older by nature, and in southern Colorado, there are thousands of retirees. But there's another piece here. Although many retirees are turning back to the workforce, some are having trouble getting work, facing age discrimination.
I think workforce is always changing. We have multiple generations in today's workforce, and each one has different values associated with work.
Tracy Marquis is the executive director of the Pikes Peak Workforce Center. She sees a need for businesses to be more age-friendly.
It's a great opportunity for employers to really look at skills-based and competency-based hiring, not look at the job description that you've had for 20 years, that you've dusted off the shelf and that you're using over and over again.
Elliott has seen it firsthand.
I've had bosses say, what's an old guy like you wanting to keep working for? Sometimes they ask out of ignorance, that they don't know that, and sometimes they ask you a question like how old are you, or are you married? They're testing whether you know that you can say, I'm not comfortable answering those.
Definitely not what I had envisioned like 20 years ago, like what retirement will look like for me at this time in my life.
Mike Alvino says he's retired a few times since 2009. He was a math teacher for decades. 6
different friends of mine that had retired all told me the same thing. They said, Mike, give retirement 6 months before you do anything crazy.
He didn't listen. Within a couple of months, he found himself back to the grind working as a caretaker.
Finally, 4 years ago, I retired, I think, for the 4th time.
But while he's technically retired, he's once again still working, mainly officiating basketball, baseball, and softball games. For him and many other seniors, it's not just about the money.
I think just getting out of the house and interacting with other people and kind of feeling important.
That's what's mattered most to him. But even as a former math teacher, he's realized the numbers haven't always added up.
Now that I am at the retirement age, I've learned what the 2 words fixed income really mean now.
His jobs in retirement have taken on a new purpose.
In the past, it used to be money I would set aside to take trips with, but now it's money to kind of get from day to day. It's more of a necessity than a luxury.
And ever the teacher, he says when he runs into former students, he tells them now to plan for retirement and plan early.
In hindsight, there were several things that we did right and several investments. We're trying to make up for it now, even though it's kind of late, but
Your turn, Jose.
Despite retirement's definition changing for so many, one of the big sentiments from retirees is being able to prepare for the unpredictable.
Don't be shocked if you can't prepare for it the right way. It comes that fast sometimes too, but I was ready for it. And my wife was also ready for it. So we did pretty well. You gotta learn how to deal with that and prepare for it and enjoy life.
Something else to keep in mind, it's not just a cost of things like housing and utilities. Medical costs certainly aren't cheap either. Medicare, for example, can run a few $100s a month, and some people also can't work simply because of their medical needs.
Yeah, I'm now in that Medicare area and looking for, the most affordable health care. That is the #1 concern for me and my wife as we get older. You've got to plan for that, and who knows what'll happen after time, but it is a serious concern, and I'm not surprised so many people at that age are returning to work to find some kind of supplement to the retirement plan.
And there is a misconception. I heard from SRDA, they were saying a lot of people call and they think Medicare is actually free, and it's not.
It's not.
Yeah, it's very much
This just in.
Yes. Well, and there are numerous organizations in Southern Colorado working to help retirees who need to get back into the workforce or even just get out and about and volunteering during retirement. Some of those services include Silver Key Senior Services, the Pikes Peak Workforce Center, and the Senior Resource Development Agency, just to name a few.